So today's topic is a little bit weird. Okay, that was really bad. Um, but I've been thinking about this for a while. It's something that's been on my mind recently, mostly because of some things that my friends have told me recently. And it's really funny because if a lot of people were told these things, they probably would be maybe not offended, but like, I really like that. Oh, jeez. But like as soon as I heard both these comments, it just filled me with such pride and glee, and I wanted to talk about it. So some of you may remember the voice chat that I got Alamise to join with us after the last off stream. And in this voice chat, she made a comment. She said, something along the lines of, "Hedgehog, you are weird in a way I've never encountered before. You are very strange." And, again, most people probably go, "Oh, gee, what? Really? That's strange?" But, like, I was here going, "Oh, fuck, you think I'm weird? That's so great. I'm so glad you think I'm weird." And it hit me, and I thought about why I had this reaction to it. And it hit me that, that kind of just means that I'm a unique person. It means that I'm noteworthy enough that people remember me, which is something I've always strived for. A lot of you'd be surprised, but all throughout high school and my freshman year of college, I wasn't really like this. I mean, I was in my head, like when I talk to myself or write stories or whatever. I was totally like this all the time, but no one really got to see that side of me. Mostly just because there was no one in my life who I just thought it was really worth it. I'm sure even Alamise thinks I'm considerably more weird now than she did when we first met and first started hanging out. But, I was finally able to let that out because, I finally found people who it's worth it to fucking show my weird side. Also the fact that that's my one thing I have on the internet. I mean, yeah, I'm decently attractive. I'm a pretty good looking girl, but like I don't have any like super sizable assets or like I'm not like stunningly beautiful. So the one thing I've got going for me on the internet is my personality. And so I should hope it's weird. And another comment is on an unreleased episode of the Hogcast that I was just editing just now. And in it, Dragon makes a comment about a weird thing that a character who reminds everyone of me said. He said, "Only you would come up with something like that on the fly." And again, it just filled me with this sense of pride that you really think I'm capable of coming up with something like that on the fly? Wow. That's great. That's fantastic. I was super glad to hear that. And I think there's this really common misconception that being weird is inherently bad, that weird is a negative connotation on your personality, which is totally false and totally incorrect. I'd get called weird by my friends in elementary school and middle school, maybe a little bit. And they meant to jokingly, "Oh, you're so weird." But like whenever anyone would say this to me, I came up with the habit on my own. I don't remember anyone instilling this in me. Whenever anyone said, "Oh, you're really weird," I'd go, "Thanks, I take that as a compliment." And, at first I was just doing it to be an ass, but as time went on, I really genuinely began to mean it. And I think there's this really bizarre emphasis, especially during high school, on being normal and not standing out and not being weird, which I think is inherently a bad way of thinking, because the more you try to make yourself like other people, the less you know about yourself. And, a lot of people try to act normal or try to not be weird so that they can, get friends and they can actually find people to hang out with. And I'm not saying there's a good or bad way to go about making friends. I was extremely lonely for, most of my teenage years. I did not have a lot of friends. And those friends I did have, I just kind of chilled with because I had for years. I didn't make any new friends from like 5th grade on. But, there are so many people who had a lot of friends in high school. But those people like change themselves for other people. I'd see it. I had a couple friends who would act completely differently when they were around other people. And it always really confused me. It always confused me so much. Maybe it's just because I'm very introverted. Maybe just because people tire me out really easily. But my stance on the whole matter is, why would I waste the energy to physically change my personality to get someone to like me? Like, there's something inherently wrong with that philosophy, because if you're changing yourself to get someone to like you, why are you hanging out with that person in the first place? Like, it just never made any sense to me. Maybe it's so that you're not alone. Maybe it's that you're not lonely. I will admit, I was very lonely for a couple years of my life. But in the end, I think it's all really worth it. I think the fact that, I was comfortable enough with myself and who I was, enabled me to start this YouTube channel, which, has done decently well. It's been pretty successful, I'd say, compared to a lot of people. But it also managed to get me friends that I genuinely like and genuinely enjoy spending time with. Not only that, it's gotten me a relationship that I genuinely like and I'm not just a part of because I just want a boyfriend, because I knew a lot of people who did that too in high school, which is just, no. Why would you do this? So yeah, that's my thoughts on being weird. I think people put way too much emphasis on being like everyone else, which is silly, because normal as a concept is just ridiculous, because no one's normal. Like, what is your measurement of normalcy? Like, how do you measure that? Is it like the picket white American dream 50s, 2 kids and a dog fantasy? Or is it, like the more modern, like living in an upscale loft in downtown and, making your art in your studio? Like, what's normal? What is normal? How can you define normal? You can't. So why do people strive for it so much? Why do people strive to be normal? It just confuses me. Maybe I'm just weird. I am weird. I fully admit that. I'm totally weird. Maybe I'm just weird. But it always seemed like such a strange idea to put so much energy into striving for something that doesn't really exist, if that makes any sense at all. So, all I can say to all you crazy cats out there is just be yourself. Just keep being weird. I know it's hard. You get lonely. And, sometimes, especially in high school, people don't want to associate themselves with weird because they're afraid they'll be viewed as weird then. But, if you can stand with it, long enough to figure out who you really are and figure out what you really want and who you really want to hang out with, I can tell you it'll be worth it in the end. Might take you longer. Might take you a long ass time to find people who appreciate you for who you really are and not, some fictional normalcy you've created. But, in the end, I think it's all worth it.